since the start of the pandemic, we've seen countless videos of confrontations on planes where there's an anti-masker, and usually you know who the anti-masker is and who's not. In this situation, there was a pro-masker with her mask off, punching grandpa in the face. We have the full explanation, but without further ado, I want to play for you the video that you might have seen flying around out there. Take a look.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, put your mask on. Who invited you to come
I'm eating and I can
drink your ass up? Don't you dare talk to me like that.
God damn it.
You stand
Why I want to.
stand your ass up. Stand your ass up.
Sit down, Karen.
Do you want the police to meet you on the ground?
What about him?
Mask up. Now.
Mask up.
Put your
I'm
mask
eating and drinking. I'm eating and drinking.
Tell him to
You got
mask
your
up.
mask down, bitch.
up. Sir,
Did you call me a bitch?
Yes, I did.
stop the camera.
Now you're going to jail. That's assault. You're going to jail. As soon as we get in later, you're going to jail. Bitch. Karen. Hey, spit on me. Now you're double going to jail. Bitch.
Okay. Get in the back now.
Put your mask
Put
on.
yours on, bitch.
I will put my mask on.
Help us, please.
I will put my mask on when you put your mask on.
At least she was negotiating there at the end. She was trying to negotiate a peace. Cenk, first we have the full information about who she is and what went down, what inspired this this back and forth. But first, reactions to the video.
Yeah, so look, we're knee deep or neck deep in the culture wars, right? So you don't have your mask on, that means you have a certain identity, and the other person has a different identity, so now we fight, right? And that's what happens all across America. And the media has gotten us to hate one another, right? And look, honestly, we're a part of that too, because we got to fight back against the other side. And a lot of Democrats, 99% of Democrats lay down and let the Republicans run all over them. So we got to fight back. But it does lead to nonsense like this. This is insane, okay? The person at fault here is not the one that seems to be ostensibly on our side, telling the guy to mask up. She is definitely wrong. So unlike other parts of the media, we are actually willing to tell you things that are true, even if it looks like the person is on our side. It doesn't matter, okay? You're not on our side, by the way, if you're telling someone to mask up and you don't have your mask on. Like, that's right there instantly, you're a jackass. That makes no sense, and I'm not gonna abide by complete irrationality, yelling at people at the top of your lungs and spitting on them to mask up while you're not masked and spitting on them. That's insane and totally intolerable. She should definitely be arrested. And by the way, I'll go further. I don't know why the guy didn't have his mask on, and I don't care. I might care if I had my mask on and we're in a different context, right? But people say, no, he shouldn't curse and shouldn't call her terrible things. Look, you got a crazy person in your grill. I don't give a damn if you say things that are quote unquote inappropriate. So right now, Brett, I'm waiting for more information, but I got it scored 100-0 against her.
I do want to point out that I did not expect Gramps to call her a Karen. I didn't expect the vernacular to make it there.
Yeah.
But it did, and I want to say, way to go, Grandpa, or I keep calling him Grandpa because we don't know his name. RTW is what he's referred to in all the reports. But this guy, it's just all I'm thinking as a result of this is I do not want to get in a plane in the next 3 years. Because everybody seems to be so on edge. I feel horrible for the flight attendants. A lot of flight attendants are in really, really precarious positions for their own health, where they have to, I heard yesterday that there's communications from headquarters at various airlines where they're saying if you've been exposed to someone with COVID, if you don't have any symptoms, you gotta go work. You don't get time off to go get a test. There is no help that you're getting. And meanwhile, the CEO of Delta is telling the CDC, you guys need to cut down how much time people have off. I feel horrible for everyone who has to work the flight. As everybody's I feel your instinct is when something like this goes down, you're I hate that this is someone's workplace and they have to endure this. But let's get to the details of what happened according to the report. The woman was arrested. The man, per the complaint, told authorities that Cornwall, the woman, made a Rosa Parks remark to a flight attendant while returning to the bathroom. Okay, we'll get to what that remark was in a second. The flight attendant asked Cornwall to find an open seat until beverage service was completed, the complaint said. Now, Cornwall responded to the flight attendant, quote, "What am I, Rosa Parks?" The man believed Cornwall's comment was inappropriate, and he responded to Cornwall that she, quote, "isn't black, this isn't Alabama, and this isn't a bus." I don't know what airline it was on because it might have been an Airbus. But when the flight landed, Cornwall was arrested and charged for the assault. Here's part of the Atlanta Police Department statement. The disturbance led to the injury of fellow passengers and Delta employees. Based on the statements gathered and visible evidence, officers detained Ms. Cornwall and contacted the on-call FBI agent. FBI agents responded and took custody of Ms. Cornwall. So she said something like, about being discriminated against because she's Rosa Parks because she was told to go to the back of the plane, essentially. Cenk, whose side you on now?
Now I'm in favor of her being double arrested. You're Rosa Parks? No, you are no Rosa Parks. I mean, you saw the video when we showed it again. I mean, she's got her hand cocked like this, ready to punch a guy who is appears to be considerably older than her, right?
She spits on him.
And she spits on him and she slaps him. I mean, there is no ands, ifs, or buts. This is not even close. And honestly, I guess, like the way the culture wars break out, obviously we have no idea of their personal politics. And my guess is that it probably gets confusing, like which side they're on and which issues, etc. And I can't perfectly tell, but ostensibly she's on the you should wear mask side, and he's presumably on the you shouldn't wear mask side. And so that's why I say, presumably we would be on her side of the divide in the culture wars, but not if you're not actually on our side and you don't wear the mask and you assault people, which immediately means you're not an actual progressive. You can't conduct a battle of ideas and you get into something physical that's insane. So there's just a ton of reasons why this is so out of bounds.
He said he was drinking and eating or something. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But it is just, it is insane. Because the one fact of the culture wars, no matter what side someone's on, is just the overall climate of discourse in America has so many people convinced of one thing, and it's that they're right. Half the people are wrong, but all the sane people believe what they believe themselves. And so they look around and they're kind of taking stock of who they think is sane. They're making wild assumptions of everyone. And then they're basically concluding that I could spit on this man and not get in trouble for it in a plane. That's her thing. She wants him to face consequences. Meanwhile, she's swinging her hands and spitting on an elderly guy who we all know the elderly were essentially like, the most vulnerable to dying from this thing.
Yeah, so Karen is usually used against right-wingers who want to call the manager on a black guy, but it's not always racial. And it's not always on a black guy, and they're apparently not always right-wingers. Because I don't know, again, what her politics is, but if she's pro-mask, maybe she's a left-wing Karen. But she's definitely a Karen in that she feels entitled. I feel entitled to get you to do what I want, okay? And I feel entitled to punch you in the face and spit on you and have no consequences because I matter and you don't. Now, as progressives, we hate it when the right wing does that to us. We certainly should not do it back to them. Everyone obviously matters. I hope we can at least still agree to that, but I'm not positive. And yeah, this is just, and we show this to you because unfortunately, it is an extreme case, but it is emblematic as well. Violence on the flights have gone up tremendously, 5,779 unruly passenger incidents already this year, way up from last year. 72% of the incidents are over masks. So we are fighting this culture war very literally, and we're fighting it in the skies as well, which is kind of a dangerous place to fight it. So yes, we need to engage the battle of ideas if we're on the left. We can't shirk away from an ideological fight, but making it physical is insane for everyone involved.
Yeah, and this is like Delta's position on it. You read the stats. They are undeniable that there's been an uptick in these incidents. Graphic 5, this is Delta Airlines statement. Situations like these are rare for the vast majority of our customers, and Delta has zero tolerance for unruly behavior at our airports and aboard our aircraft. Vast majority of the customers, yes, but it's becoming more and more common when you fly these so-called friendly skies, where, let's face it, everybody would be miserable in a plane if it weren't a pandemic on. Everyone always self-medicates with alcohol, and alcohol, if you are the least bit frustrated, a lot of people, they act out in that situation, and it's really rough.
Okay, super last thing. The lines are all getting blurred, guys, because there are absurd rules. So when you have to wear the mask going into a restaurant, and then you could take it off immediately 1 foot later.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Let's just acknowledge that. And if somebody's frustrated with that rule, that doesn't mean they're a right winger or a Trump supporter. You don't know exactly where people stand. Stop making assumptions as well. I know it's near impossible, but at some point we have to be decent again to one another. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.